Hello again. So, I think this is the longest that I have waited between album release and album review. It's been about a week. And I feel like I finally come around to give my thoughts on Porter Robinson's newest album, Smile, which is his third album. And it follows up Nurture. Nurture was a very, very well received project. And while I absolutely loved Worlds, it's one of my favorite albums of all time. Nurture may also be going into that conversation. And with a critic score of a 77 and a user score of an 83, it is very well received. Particularly so because I think that album just came out just at the perfect time, especially when the world was just in utter chaos in 2021. And when I think of songs that Look at the Sky, Musicians, Wind Tempos, Unfolds, these songs just feel so just blissful. So, it feels like just the truest form of escapism where it is so colorful, it's so bright, it's so optimistic, it's so just happy feeling. And there's some points in that album that make me emotional, but of the way that it just swells up feelings, especially when it comes to its instrumentation and it's the way that kind of brings electropop into this really grand but also beautiful scale. And what I think Smile does is that the instrumentation, while it's still really nice, it's still very tranquil. It's a little bit more in falling into the singer-songwriter, sometimes rock, mostly pop, but also kind of like emo territory sometimes. But I think the emotional gut punches really come on Smile from its songwriting. This is the most genuine feeling album that I've heard in a little bit, and it really just shows the genuine feelings of love for somebody. And with Nurture, the big thing I got from that album was that Porter Robinson, after 7 years after release of Worlds and Nurture was a 7 year gap, Porter Robinson experienced a good amount of writer's block and was also a very big perfectionist. But with Nurture, it was him falling in love with music, the music making process all over again. Wind Tempos is a great example of that. And I think with Smile, it really shows the love for somebody, love for a person. And there's so many songs like Mona Lisa, for example, that are just pure and outright love songs. Easier to Love You is another great example. And then there's other parts of this album that talk about more of a love for the fan base and the complicated relationship with the fan base. You can think of really just these catchy and really bombastic songs like Cheerleader. And Year of the Cup could also fall into that as an example where it's just kind of these complicated relationships with your fan base, but it's kind of growing to accept and to love your fan base. It's a very interesting lyrical and kind of conceptual themes that are going on in this album. But the big thing going on in this album, I think, is a love for a person, and you really get to feel that throughout the lyrics. They're not like intricate, they're not layered like crazy. They're not like these crazy things you need to dive into. They're just really honest love songs. And when it's done this well, especially when it comes to this really nice, sometimes swaying and beautiful production, I can think of Easier to Love You as a great example of that, where it just feels like you're just swaying back and forth and just really just sitting on a hill, the sun's going down, you feel this really light breeze. It just feels so serene. It feels so peaceful and it feels just like warm and loving. And I really like the feeling that this album really gives you as you're listening through it. It is really just a heartwarming and very just nice experience, especially when you consider there's a lot of songs, a lot of albums that just really go off to the other side. It's really nice that Porter Robinson almost is like comes in at these certain points. To me, it's like perfect times where it just feels so soft. It feels so genuine. It feels so vulnerable, and it feels so just nice on the ears. Like I really, really enjoy this record. And I think a big thing too is that Porter Robinson has expanded quite a bit, not as like even more as like an instrumental person, but also as a singer as well. I think Porter Robinson, the way that he sings, while it may not be the most like technically powerful singing in the world, it just lends to that amazing, just vulnerable, honest delivery that makes these songs hit as hard as they do. Kitsune Maison Freestyle is another great example of that as well, where it just feels, especially in the chorus, it just feels so genuine. It feels so honest, and I love that. Love this record for that. If you're really looking for the similar style into Nurture and to World, I think Cheerleader and Is There Really No Happiness are gonna cater to you the most. But overall, this is probably Porter Robinson's most riskiest album when it comes to really subverting expectations and going into an entirely different sound that's more into a singer-songwriter, electro pop direction. But I think for the most part, it really works out to really just continue this incredible streak that he's on. And it's hard to believe too. It's only been 3 albums, but we're past 10 years into Porter Robinson's career, and it feels like it's just getting started. Now, the one little criticism that I have of this record is in Year of the Cup. As probably people know at this point, there is the Lil Wayne kind of interview interlaced throughout the entire song. And I'm going to be brutally honest, I'm still trying to understand what the point of it in the song is. I kind of understand. It's just like something's in my cup. I'm trying to really piece it together on the fly here, and I've listened to it about 4 or 5 times before I did this review. It's just like I know it's in my cup. You shouldn't ask what's in my cup. It's none of your business to know what's in my cup, but it's giving me like these abilities. It's giving me these emotions, giving me this kind of success and popularity. I'm still trying to figure out why it's kind of interlaced through this song because I feel like more of the content that Porter Robinson is talking about is more of a relationship or a complicated relationship with his fan base, and also him exploring being more vulnerable with his fan base, especially when it comes to his emotions. I just don't really know if the Little Wayne interludes and the singing portions, I don't know if they really line up for me all that well yet. But even just that, I feel like it's just kind of a little bit jarring, especially when you consider how, especially this song is definitely the most swaying feeling song on the album. I feel like this Lil Wayne like interlude just kind of just breaks it up just a little bit too much, where it kind of just takes me out of the vibe really quick when I get really back into it, and just keeps pulling me in and out. While I still do really enjoy the song, I feel like that little portion of the album is the part that I'm still not really figuring out all that much. And I am totally fine with. I'm going to be listening to this album tons of times, and I'll probably pick it up with even more listens. But overall, like I've been glowing about this record. I've probably just rambled at this point, but I just really love this record. And I'm gonna be honest, the first time I heard this, I was gonna give it a 5 because it really was not what I was expecting in the slightest. Even though I listened to Knock Yourself Out, even though I listened to Cheerleader, like those two singles, I didn't listen to Russian Roulette as a single. Well, that song is also amazing. I really like the content on that one too, especially in the bridge. But the way that I've kind of come around to this record, it's just another incredible record from Porter Robinson, and it shows of just how he's still improving by leaps and bounds with each and every release. And with that, I think it's a 9 out of 10 for me. So incredible album. And I'm going to be returning to this album a good amount, and I'm going to be returning to Nurture especially because these two albums just have, again, as I was saying, they have these really two cool elements where you feel the emotion and nurture through the instrumentation, but you feel the emotional and vulnerability in Smile throughout its lyrics and also through its content. I think both of these albums serve a very same purpose, but in different ways of approaching it, and I really like Smile for that. So, what do you think of Smile? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What's your favorite tracks? Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for giving me the time to talk about this, and I'll catch you next time.